Greetings and welcome to the Halloween edition of the Sliders Review. And I'm here today to talk to you about Scream Queens, Season 1, Episode 1, the pilot. So this is something I've been wanting to talk about for a very long time, but I'm only going to do the first episode. When they first aired this back in 2015, they aired Episode 1 and 2 back to back. And that's how it is on the DVD. It's connected together. But I'm only going to talk about the first part, mainly because the first one's very interesting and I'm just running out of time. I have a bunch of stuff to watch on Hulu and Apple Plus before my subscription ends at the end of this month and one at the beginning of next month. And I've had Hulu for like $1.12 for like a whole year, and I barely watched anything on it because I had HBO Max and all this other crap and Disney Plus, and oh, how time flies. Oy, I swear, boy. Anyway, but I'll probably get Hulu again when I bundle it up with Disney Plus, because that'll be the smartest thing to do. And they got a cheaper price in December, so I can't wait till then. But I'm going to try to watch as much stuff as I can this month. And so, but this show I've been wanting to talk about for a very long time. Last year, I talked about not Halloween, but the Thanksgiving episode. It's funny because this is technically a slasher show, but they had a Thanksgiving episode and it was Thanksgiving month, so I decided to talk about it. And so, this show I love to death, only the first season. I hate the second season. The second season is garbage. And so the first season is where it is at. It is a comedy, drama, slasher show that was on Fox, created by Ryan Murphy. No, this is not the rundown review because I have to rewatch this show just to get refreshed because it's been a while since I watched it. And so it's kind of hard really to talk about this first episode because it's mostly just a lot of humor, and you have to watch the humor for yourself. It is insane. Emma Roberts plays the character Chanel. She is the head of the Kappa sorority, and she is a very arrogant, very rude, very racist. My God, this show is racist. They don't use slurs, but they say everything else, but in a funny way. It's like I said before, you can say racist stuff in a show, and it's not gonna bother me. What's gonna bother me is when they use slurs. And you can even make racism a little funny for a comedy show. But you don't have to use slurs. You just have to use innuendos and get around and stuff like that. And my God, I can't believe they got away with this show should have been on Comedy Central, but it's not. It's on Fox. Now, the show did have bad ratings, which causes cancellation, but it's supposed to be a third season, supposedly, but who knows? This is Emma Roberts' best performance in anything, other than when she was revealed as the killer in Scream 4. But my God, she was made for this role. Rumor has it she was up for the Harley Quinn in the Suicide Squad, but she turned that down for this show. Honestly, I think she made the right decision. Why? One, Harley Quinn has only been popular in the first Suicide Squad movie. People cosplayed her, people wanted to be her. But then when she had her solo movie, that kind of like put a stinker on her. Then in the James Gunn version, her character was just kind of pointless in that. And she didn't even really dress cool. Like, yeah, she had a nice dress, but she didn't really look like Harley Quinn. She never looks like Harley Quinn in none of those movies. Like, never. But nobody's been talking about her since. And now she's going to be played by Lady Gaga. And nobody really even talks about Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn no more. Now Margot Robbie's fixated on being Barbie. So I think she made a good decision picking this show, even though it lasted for 2 seasons, because people still talk about that character till this day. And so it even shows how, like, you know, she wasn't always popular and everything. She wasn't even always president of the Kappa sorority. She was actually a minion and everything, you know, treated like crap. But let's get into a little bit later. So it starts off, and it's 1995, and one of the girls in the sorority is throwing a party mixer, and then she comes down and she gets the rest of the girls. They go upstairs into the bathtub, and one of them has given birth in the tub. they make a lot of hilarious references talking about, ew, this gross, you can't be walking around pregnant and having a baby in your hands. And they're so rude, but so hilarious. Now, the actresses who play in the beginning part, I don't recognize none of them. But all of a sudden they get distracted because Waterfalls is playing by TLC. And she's all like, this is my jam and I am not going to miss it just because you gave birth. So you're going to wait up here. And then next thing you know, you see a bunch of white people in the sorority mixer dancing to Waterfalls. I never thought I would see that happening. A bunch of white folks dancing to TLC. Well, when the song is over, they go back upstairs, and the girl is now dead from lack of blood and everything, because she bled like crap when she gave birth to the baby. And so, like, then it jumps forward to 2015. And, you know, Dean Munch is played by none other than Jamie Lee Curtis. Why not get the most famous girl of all to play like the Dean in a slasher show? It is brilliant. And she narrates a lot. She always monologuing a lot. She talks about how, like, you know, she hates sororities and this and that. And she's trying her best to get the Kappas shut down because that's the one she hates the most. Chanel is like her arch enemy in the show, and she's trying to do everything she can to get under her skin. Chanel has a bunch of minions. She doesn't call them by their first name, she just gives them nicknames. Chanel number 2 is played by Ariana Grande. And this is actually the first time I ever saw her act. I never saw her act before. I've only seen clips of her on like the Nickelodeon show she's on. She's Chanel number 2. She is barely in this episode and everything. And it's really a bummer because I wanted to see her act more. I'll go into more details and stuff in the rundown review. Chanel number 3 is played by Billie Lourd. She is the daughter of Carrie Fisher. Her character is always wearing earmuffs on her head to look like buns. Chanel number 4 is never shown. I think she's shown later on in the series, but she is like she got like meningitis or something like that, and so she got sent home and she died there. And then Chanel number 5 is played by Abigail Breslin, and so like she's the one who gets under the skin of Chanel the most. Now, Chanel number 5, real name is actually Libby. Chanel number, where's she at? Her real name is Sadie and everything. And number 2, where are you at, Ariana Grande? Come on, where is your name at? I'm looking on my tab. Oh, okay. They have her as a guest star. Sonia and everything. So I don't even know their real names. I just know them by what numbers they are and stuff like that. And so, like, Chanel, she bosses them around big time. Chanel is very insecure. She loves being around rich people. She wants to get higher up than what she does. Now, there is a maid called Mrs. Bean. Chanel calls her white mammy. Lord have mercy. Oh, God. And she treats that lady like crap. She makes her scrub the floors with like a Barbie like brush. Oh my God. Now the mansion looks cool. This sorority house is a giant mansion. It is gorgeous and everything, right? And so, like, basically, they have to have a bunch of new pledges. And Chanel likes that because she wants to pick, you know, who gets to represent Kappa. Well, Dean Munch has something else in mind. She said anybody who wants to pledge Kappa automatically gets in and everything. This pisses off a lot of the preppy looking girls and they leave. And this pisses off, of course, the Kappa girl sororities. And they're like, no, they don't want this. They don't want a bunch of rejects. And so that's basically who they get. Now, on the way to the sorority is like Grace. She's like the main girl and stuff like that. She's considered like the final girl of like the show. Her dad is all about like the 80s and stuff and making mixtapes. And he doesn't want her to pledge a sorority. Um, there's Zayday, who's played by, oh wait, who is um Grace? Skylar something. Skylar Samuels, and Zayday is played by Kiki Palmer. I like Kiki Palmer and everything, but her acting's just like one note. She always acts the same and everything, very loud, very flashy, and very headstrong. She's never played a different type of role, which is weird. Like she was in Scream season 3. My God, she was loud and preachy in that. Anyways, she's headstrong, and her grandma told her, you're gonna be president one day. So her and Grace, they bond and stuff. And so the rest of the pledges, they come in, and I don't really remember their name. Um, Jeez, what was their name? They're like the most extreme looking people ever. Let's see. There is Jennifer. She is like this girl who's like a candle blogger. If you go on her, what is it, Instagram, she's like she even made like a, I think like a parody of it or something like that, and so she does like fire dancing in real life. And so like there's Sam, and Sam is like a lesbian. Um but Chanel calls her predatory Les, and like Sam is kind of like, she really don't like men in any kind of capacity, and she's all like, I don't think heterosexual sex is like assault, but like I just think it's gross. And then when they talk about getting a security guard, she's like, I don't feel comfortable having a man protect me and everything. And then there's another girl, I forget her name, but she got the nickname of Deaf Taylor Swift. Now, the actress who plays her really is deaf in real life, and they make tons of jokes about her, but she makes them about herself. She's basically playing on like her deafness and talking about like speak up, I can't hear you and everything. And it's just like, oh my God, but she loves Taylor Swift to death. And so needless to say, Chanel is not happy. So at some point, she goes to the coffee shop and she gets like a pumpkin spice latte, but she wants no foam, and like she wants it at 215 degrees. Well, the guy Pete, he said he can't make it like that. That's like really, really hot. And she doesn't care. She drinks it super hot, but she's like, you burnt the milk. She makes his life crap there. Basically, she calls him her stalker and everything because he had a crush on her freshman year, and he just kind of followed her around. But he's like, works for the newspaper, and he crushes on Grace. Now, one interesting thing about this show is that everybody talks very fast, very sporadic, and very quirky and everything. It's really interesting how they talk. Now, Chanel has a boyfriend named Chad. He's this preppy dude who loves to play golf, and he also loves dead bodies. They like turn them on and crap like that. And he has a best friend named Boone, and Boone is played by one of the Jonas brothers, and he's like gay and everything, and he loves himself some Chad. Oh, I forgot Hester. Hester's played by Leah Michelle. Ugh. And so like I used to like Leah Michelle until I found out how crappy she is in real life. Basically, she has that thing we wear like a back brace because your spine is kind of like shifting out of place and stuff. And so, what's the name? Because this calls her back brace. And basically, Chanel has a plan. Her plan is, hey, I can scare these girls and then they won't pledge. So she tells Miss Bean, like, this is what's gonna happen. I'm gonna fuss you out, and then I'm gonna like, burn your face in the deep fryer. But I'm not gonna turn it on. It's just gonna be cold, and they're gonna think your face is burning. So at some point, she goes into Miss Bean's room, and it's like a shrine of Chanel, and her eyes all ripped out and all stuff like that, and scratched out. So she does her plan. Only problem is somebody turned it on. The woman's face is burning when she pulls it up. It looks like fried food. Like it looks like fried pork rinds and stuff. And she's ripping it off and there's blood all over her face. How did they get away with this on Fox? It's disgusting. It's gross. Sometimes I can't even look at it. It's disgusting. And so she falls and she dies. So they're all like, crap, what are we going to do with her body? And so she's all like, oh, I know, we'll put it in the freezer and nobody will ever find it until they can figure out what they're going to do. And Grace is all like, I ain't doing that. And she's all like, oh, so then she bribes the other girl, like, look, I'll give you a boyfriend and I'll make you rich and everything. So then they all agree and they turn on Grace. So they just take the body out to the freezer and they dump it there. Well, at some point we get to see the killer. The person is dressed in a Red Devil's costume. And I think it used to be like the former mascot of like the school or something like that. And so the killer is going after the second victim, Chanel #2. He texts her and everything. See, she's packing because she's scared and she wants to leave. So he texts her and everything. And so he busts open, or she opens the door, there he is, and he's texting her. And it's like a weird parody type thing. They're standing next to each other. He's talking about, you want to do this, you want to do that, and she's texting back, kind of like flirting with the killer. And so he starts scaring her, but then she starts texting back. And then he just stabs her. So then she starts crawling and everything, but then she kicks him on the ground. So she's crawling and she gets to her laptop and she's on her social media account and she writes this extremely long sentence about how the killer, the Red Devil, is trying to kill her and all this other crap and all this other stuff. And she should shorten it. So as soon as she's gonna hit enter, he stabs her again. And so she wasn't able to hit enter. And then so it pauses for a good long time, and then she wakes up just to hit enter, and then she falls down and dies. And Ariana Grande is now gone for the rest of the series, except for like a dream sequence and stuff towards the end. And I was really bummed about this and stuff. And so, like, you know, it's like Pledge Weekend and everything, like I said before, and Chanel is unable to scare, like, you know, the pledges. She tries to bribe that of Grace. Grace will not take it and everything. And so now this makes her an enemy of like Chanel. Well, Grace went to go talk to Pete and everything. And she's all like, you like, and so, you know, like, you'll never guess what I did last night. And he said, oh, did you kill somebody, Miss Bean, and put her in the freezer? She's like, how did you know? He's like, she's like, wait, were you spying on us? He's like, yes, I'm an investigative reporter and everything, and blah, 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 blah. So at some point, Chanel and them went to go check on Mrs. Bean in the freezer, but somebody took the body. And so when she was going to check on it, Grace and them was going to check on it, but Chanel and them showed up, so they hid. But somebody has moved the body, and the question is, the killer had to do it. But like, how did the killer know about this? And so it makes Pete suspicious because he was spying on them, and he knew that they killed somebody and put the dead body there. So could he be a suspect? Who knows, you know? And so during this time, Chanel #5 and all them, they made the pledges, like they buried them underground. And so the only thing you see is their head sticking up from the ground, and all of the pledges are buried except for Grace because she's not there. And so they're all like, all right, y'all have to stay there till a couple of hours and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And so it's weird because it's just like a grass like yard, and their heads are just sticking up from it. Then they hear a lawnmower. It's the Red Devil. He's on the lawnmower and he's coming towards them. Zayday is like screaming and hollering, and the deaf girl's all like, speak up, I can't hear you. She's all like, are you screaming or are you singing Taylor Swift? And so she's just singing to herself and everything. And everybody else is just hollering and screaming. And then it happens. The Red Killer takes the third victim. Who is it? The deaf girl. And he runs over her head and you see blood gush out the lawnmower. How did they get away with this on Fox? And then it ends. I was like, oh my God. I fell in love with this show just from like the start, man. It's awesome. Anybody who you talk to, they always say the same thing. First season's the best, and the second season is crap. That wasn't that spooky. Alright, well, I shall talk to y'all later. Bye.